I'm Dr. Ashley.
And this is Sherry.
And this is From Her Point of View.
We are back, just doing a quick recap from her point of view in regards to how things have been going. And I want to say that they're going great.
Indeed. If you listen to the last couple episodes, we brought back our One Question, One Truth conversation, and that went really well this season, as it does every season. But really want to thank our participants for joining us and being open and having these conversations. The one part, did anything in particular stand out to you? I'm going to talk about the one part that really stood out to me.
So unfortunately, but fortunately, the part that stands out is the molestation. Mm-hmm. It is one of the topics that is the hardest for people to discuss, and then to discuss them with people that you don't know. Mm-hmm. Something to be aired for the world to hear, for your family and for your friends to hear, is a very difficult task. But the people who were open about their experiences, they're brave. And we appreciate their honesty in regards to what they shared, because not only does it break the cycle, but it gets you out of that mindset that you have to keep this to yourself, because you're not supposed to. When bad things happen, you should share so you can find healing. And I believe that the women who shared are healing, but they're also going to help others who are in those same situations or have those experiences understand that it is a process, but there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, that's the same part that stood out to me. I know that was the end of part 2. And, all of the content that we discussed then was important, but that part really struck a chord with me because it's so unfortunately common. And it's something that's often swept under the rug, but it happens so often. And the victims generally feel alone for something that's happening in families all across the world all the time. Mm-hmm. And so it really brought us back to the mission of From Her Point of View in creating this safe space and platform for women to have these conversations, because you're not alone. And there is someone that can commiserate with you, someone that can empathize with you. They can share their experience about how they're getting through it, give you some insight into what they're doing and what may be effective for you. So it was raw, and it could have been a little hard to listen to, but it was important to hear. And I'm glad that they shared that information with our listeners and felt comfortable enough and thought enough of our platform to share that with us.
Absolutely. So for those who participated, once again, we appreciate you, and we thank you for your honesty in regards to providing the content that you did to that particular episode.
Absolutely. So as we continue on with season 3, we have some other things that we're integrating into the season that we did not necessarily do in the 2 seasons before.
And I'm super excited about that.
So it's from her point of view. We got that. That's the title. You know that. However, we've integrated his point of view, and now he wants to sit down with other women. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense. So instead of just having the conversations where Sherry and I talk to a group of men, we are going to bring our male and female listeners together to talk to each other. As you know, this season 3, the overarching theme has been sex. And that's a conversation that people are talking about these things, but how many people are sitting down with their male and female friends together and really being raw, honest, and open about what's going on?
Yeah, and it's crazy because it's like not even with their friends, but with their mates and with their spouses. This season definitely opened up the platform for couples to have conversations about things that could be integrated into the relationship, to spice it up, to make it better, to open it up, whatever the case may be. And so when we do these next couple of episodes with, we're going to call it our co-ed edition, because it's going to be his and her point of view. It'll be interesting to see the conversation between the male and female one-on-one right then and there. Because a lot of, women come to us and they say, well, what does the guys think? And a lot of the guys come to us and say, well, what do the women think? And they don't have to think anymore. They don't have to guess. Now is your opportunity to ask those questions.
And in most cases, if you've listened, the men that we have interacted with in the past have been very willing to have the conversations. I mean, they'll come on there, they'll tell us whatever we ask them. They're ready to go. And you know how women are. We like to talk. So we thought it'd be a good idea to bring everybody together and let's just have the conversations.
We're ready.
With that being said, we're going to open up the platform. So
yes,
if you are some of our male listeners that you wanted to share your point of view, please let us know. You can reach us via Instagram, Facebook, all of the all of those means. And ladies, same for you. We would like to get you guys together so we have these conversations. When you reach out to us, let us know what it is you want to talk about.
Yes.
Let us
Don't
know.
come with a blank canvas.
Right. Let us know if you heard something in a previous episode that you wanted us to dig a little bit deeper into, or, and have that roundtable discussion with some of our listeners about. We can certainly do that. We're still very connected to our previous guests that, kind of laid the foundation at the beginning of the season. So we are more than happy also to reach out to them and have them participate if they would like to, or, can give us some guidance into the conversations that we're going to have. And we just want to bring everybody back to the table.
Yeah, I'm super excited about that. But I'm always excited when we're doing something different, because the expectation is for it to be good, but ultimately it just turns out to be great. And so that's why I be so excited. So I think the co-ed conversation is going to be one for the books, because our women are open and honest, but our men are just as open and honest. And I am curious as to the content that they're going to bring. Like, what is it that they want to discuss amongst each other?
It makes me think back to one of the, I guess it was a couple seasons ago, we were recording the episode, and one of the participants, their significant other, was like in the background, like holding up signs like, say this or ask this. And he wanted to be so a part of the conversation. And it was just like, okay, we're gonna have to let these guys in. We're gonna have to let them in, because what they have to offer is valuable. Whether we agree with what's being said or not, there's value in having a different perspective shared.
Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna do.
Well, it's definitely not going to be a means to agree, okay? But
we don't have to agree.
But it's going to be good.
So that's where we're going.
So I also wanted to make note, because we're going to be wrapping up season 3, right? So in doing that, I find myself telling people that I meet, hey, we have a podcast, right? And they're like, oh, really? They're super excited about it, right? Black women doing their things, talking about their thing. And so I tell them now, listen to season 3 and then go back. But
so it's because to start with season 3?
Exactly, because it's the most exciting season. And then season 1, you're just really getting to know who from her point of view is. What does it mean? What our mission is. And our mission essentially for the podcast, and I actually had this conversation with a friend of mine, was that we wanted to provide a platform for women to be open and honest with one another about conversations and situations that they needed assistance with, per se, guidance, questions that needed answers. And she was like super excited. She's like, I've never heard that before. That's great. So of course she's going to share with all her friends, because they talk, right? And some of the things that we talk about really opens up the door for people to have that conversation, like you said, with one another, with their spouses. They just don't know how. And it could just be as simple as, oh my goodness, I listened to this podcast today and one of the ladies said XYZ. What do you think about it? Because a lot of people don't really know how to receive information. So if you do it in a form of a question, then you're opening that up for them to give you something, for you to give them what it is that you wanted to give, if that makes sense.
So yeah, essentially each episode is a conversation starter at the very least. And even, being one of the hosts of this podcast, when I listen to the episodes, it's like me listening to it for the first time.
Yeah.
And I mean, I get something out of it myself. I learn a lot, just learning a lot about different people's experiences. And I think what we're doing definitely adds value.
And so I don't know if it's just me or if you experience this too, but because we have this platform, I find myself having to filter what I receive. So, I listen to a lot of podcasts, just myself, outside of hours. And I listen to a lot of conversation content, or people who are just talking amongst each other. And, I be on 1,000 sometimes. I call you like, listen to this, because he said and she said. And I literally have to stop and say, is this worth the time? Right? Is this worth the time and the energy that I'm putting into it because I feel some type of way about it? Or should I just let it go? And I feel like we could have buku conversations, right? But to be able to streamline and stay organized, you got to kind of reel me back in and say, okay, that's great, but let's save that for another episode, or let's put that into season 4, because season 3 is not. But I'd be so passionate about some of these things, and so I have to be mindful of what I'm receiving information wise, and being able to compartmentalize that, because we would be all over the place if it was up to me. We'd be talking about everything all the time.
Mm-hmm. But I feel like in season 4, and even the time between these seasons, there'll be opportunities to do that, to have more unstructured conversations and more engagement.
We're going to call them random debates.
I would like to create a space for people to submit questions to us.
Yes.
To say just the same thing you just said. I listened to this. What do you think about that? Just to create more engagement. And that's something that we definitely can look into and to integrating into the expansion of From Her Point of View, because this is just the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this podcast is just the beginning of From Her Point of View LLC. There are other services and products that will be introduced and that are coming soon. So I think that creating the area for people to submit their questions or leave a voicemail or something like that is something that we definitely would expand the brand here.
Yeah, that's going to be good. I know a few Instagram people who do that now, where you can submit questions to them and they'll actually respond on their page in regards to what their thoughts were about whatever the question may have been at the time. And I find it very intriguing. Mm-hmm. So I'm definitely open to doing that.
So all good things are happening. All good things are coming. I'm very proud of what we've done so far. And I'm really looking forward to this co-ed conversation.
Mm-hmm. So we will be setting up scheduling to have that recorded soon. So like Dr. Ashley said, anyone who is interested in being a part of that, we will have posts put out. Feel free to respond there, send an email, respond separately, whatever the case may be, if you want to be a part of it, so we can get you involved in the conversation.
Sounds good. On to the next one.
Thank you for listening to From Her Point of View. We can be found on all of your favorite podcast platforms. Share what you've heard with your family and friends. We would love to hear your point of view too. Follow us on Instagram and Facebook, where you can leave a comment or question. Let your voice be heard by leaving a voicemail at 443-507-8032. Let your thoughts be read by sending an email to fromherpointofviewllc@gmail.com. Thank you again for listening to From Her Point of View.